This is Simply Angeline, and I'm Morticia Adams. Welcome back to Simply Angeline. I am so happy you're here, especially for my Halloween series. And today I'm dressed up as no other than the queen of Halloween herself, Morticia Adams. I thought it'd be cool to add some nice glittery eyeshadow and also have the long nails and the long black hair just like her. So that brings me to our story today, which is called Bone Soup by Cambria Evans. Now, we have a character named Finnegan who is known throughout the land as someone who has a big appetite. But what happens when he comes to a town during Halloween and no one's sharing with him? What is he gonna do to get a big old bowl of soup filled with Halloween magic? Let's find out. Let's listen to Bone Soup.
Bone Soup by Cambria Evans. Being nothing more than skin and bone, Finnegan had to live by his wits. He had no family or house to haunt, but he was known across the land for having a ravenous appetite. Everyone knew that wherever Finnegan went, he always brought his eating stool, his eating spoon, and his gigantic eating mouth. One Halloween, Finnegan's travels took him through a barren land. What a lovely place, he thought. I'm sure I can find a Halloween feast here. But as Finnegan grew closer to town, a witch passed by. Happy Hallows Night, he said. Do you know where the feast is? The witch took one look at Finnegan and quickly flew away. Back in town, the witch told the beast told the zombies told the mummy, and before you knew it, the entire town was talking about the impending arrival of Finnegan the Eater. Here comes Finnegan! We don't need a big mouth like that. We have barely enough for ourselves. I've heard he's worse than a plague of locusts. Who's Finnegan? In a panic, the witch booby-trapped her jar of eyeballs. The beast locked his bat wings in a cupboard. The zombies put their frog legs in the cellar. And the mummy and other town's creatures hid all they had to eat. When poor, ever hungry Finnegan came to town, he was surprised that it looked empty, but even more surprised that there was no feast. So Finnegan knocked on the witch's door first. Could you spare a bit of food? He called out. I have nothing for you! The witch shrieked. Next, Finnegan tried the beast door. Could you spare some wormy cheese and bread for a simple traveler? He asked. A simple traveler, the beast said.
I know who you are. I have just enough food for myself and none to spare. Be gone.
At the third door, Finnegan had barely opened his mouth when the zombies all yelled,
Go away. We've no food for you.
At the mummy's door, the answer was the same. And so he went through the whole town, knocking on doors and windows. But not a body or soul had any food for Finnegan. Undaunted, Finnegan collected wood from the forest and built a fire in the middle of the town square. He then filled the town's largest cauldron with water and set it to boil. After waiting a time, Finnegan ceremoniously opened his cloak. He took out a magnificent piece of bone, so old that the edges were dry and splintered. And with a toothy grin, he dropped it right into the cauldron. Finnegan stirred the mixture, singing, Bone soup is what I make. A magic bone is all it takes. Boil it long and add some spice. Bone soup tastes so very nice. One by one, the town's creatures opened their doors and walked toward Finnegan and his fire. What are you singing about?
What are you boiling? What a dry old bone. You can't make soup out of that. Any ghoul knows as well.
Finnegan smiled. Well then, I must not be a ghoul, for I am making such a soup. The little werewolf crouched at Finnegan's side. I've never heard of bone soup before, but I think I'll like it. In some places I have traveled, bone soup is considered a delicacy, Finnegan explained. Besides, this is no ordinary bone. It is magic. He tasted the broth again and sighed. If only there were some stewed eyeballs. With eyeballs, the soup would be very tasty. The little werewolf tugged at Finnegan's cloak. The witch has jars of those. I know she does. All the villagers stared at the witch, and her face turned an even brighter shade of green. Yes, I do, she stammered. But they're imported. The villagers stared at the witch until she finally fetched some from her stash. The eyeballs were a fabulous addition to the soup. But soon, Finnegan looked wistful. If only this had some bat wings. Can you just imagine what flavor they would add? The little werewolf tugged at Finnegan again. The beast has cupboards full of those. I saw them myself. Embarrassed, the beast fetched an entire box of bat wings. The wings were added, and just as Finnegan had said, their flavor was wonderful. Finnegan continued to stir the soup, but he looked longingly into the cauldron. Now, only if we had frog legs, the soup would be fit for a king. The little werewolf tugged once more on Finnegan's cloak. The zombies have a cellar filled with those. Just ask them. Before Finnegan could ask, the zombie children had fetched all the frog legs they could carry. The frog legs were stirred into the broth, and soon the cauldron was also bubbling with spider eggs, dried mouse droppings, toenail clippings, and dandelions, with a final dusting of slime and sludge. The soup was declared ready. Of course, the soup is wonderful alone, said Finnegan, but it only takes wormy cheese, bread, and company to make it a true Halloween feast. Go! Bring your cheese, bread, and bowls so we can share this bone soup together. What a fabulous soup!
Such good flavor. Truly fit for a king. To think it was all made from a magic bone.
And so it was that Finnegan got his Halloween feast. After all, with a final wave to the werewolf, Finnegan quickly left with his eating stool, his eating spoon, and his gigantic smiling mouth. The end.
So, what did you think of bone soup? I thought it was pretty good too. How did you feel when the whole town came together to help Finnegan make this beautiful and tasty soup? Well, I think for them it was tasty. I thought it was nice too. And I think it's important that we all kind of share and give people a chance and get to know them, because once everyone kind of got to see Finnegan for who he was, they came around and they were happy to be around him. All right. So thank you so much for joining me on my Halloween series for my second book, Bone Soup. Please make sure to purchase this book if you liked it. Well, I already know that you loved it. So please, the link will be in the description below. Also, follow me on Instagram and also subscribe to our YouTube channel because I have plenty of more Halloween stuff coming up, okay? So, see you next time. Bye. Oh, sorry. Morticia Adams says bye.